Hey guys, in this video we're going to be learning about demonstratives. Demonstratives are words like this, that, these, and those. Now, technically speaking, demonstratives are adjectives. So they will have gender, they can be masculine, feminine, or neuter. They will have number, they can be singular or plural. And they will have case, they can be nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, or ablative. Now, demonstratives can function like pronouns. They can be used to replace a noun. Consider the sentence, look at that. The word that is our demonstrative. It's not describing a noun, it's replacing a noun. Or, of course, the demonstratives can be used adjectively. Look at that building. Our demonstrative is the word that again, but in this sentence it's answering an adjective question. Which one? Which building? That building. Of course, our demonstrative will have to match either the noun that it's replacing, if it's functioning like a pronoun, or the noun that it's modifying or describing, if it's functioning like an adjective, in gender, number, and case. Over the next 3 lessons, we're going to be learning about 3 different demonstratives. First, we'll learn Haec, 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 which means this. Then we'll learn ille, illa, illud, which means that, and usually refers to something off at a distance, that over there. Then finally we'll learn about iste, ista, istud, which means that, but usually refers to something that is nearby. The first thing that I want us to do as we begin to learn the word for this, Haec, 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 is to memorize the singular forms. There's no real shortcut. We'll simply have to memorize these. Our nominative forms will move from left to right, are Haec, Haec, Haec. The genitive forms are pronounced as a 2-syllable word, and they all match. Huius, huius, huius. The dative forms are a single-syllable word, and they also match. Huic, huic, huic. The accusative forms are hunk, honk, hock. I want you to notice something about the accusative neuter form. It matches the accusative nominative form, and this is because the neuter rule requires the nominative and accusative to match. Our ablative forms are hoke, hock, hoke, and they have the long vowel in the middle that we've come to associate with the ablative singular forms. Now, when we're translating the demonstratives, we will translate sentences with demonstratives following the same steps that we always follow. First, we'll find our verb, widet, and we will parse that verb. Widet is third person singular present tense, so it's translated as he, she, sees. Our next step is always to parse all the other words that can be parsed. Nouns, adjectives, pronouns, and now we're going to throw demonstratives into the mix. We parse all of those before we label them. So, as we parse hunk by looking at our chant and hopefully eventually by having it memorized, we notice that hunk is masculine, singular, and accusative. Now, it is not modifying a noun. There's no noun in the sentence for it to modify. That means that this demonstrative must be functioning as a pronoun. It must be replacing a noun. So, when we label hunk, we're going to label it as the direct object because the noun that it replaced is functioning as the direct object. When we come to translate the sentence, we translate it as he or she sees this. This is the translation of our demonstrative, and the demonstrative is replacing a noun functioning as a pronoun, so it is our direct object. He, she sees this. Let's move on to a slightly longer sentence. Wir hunk feminam videbat. We're going to follow our normal steps of translation, which means we begin with our verb, videbit. It's the same verb we had in the last sentence with a different ending. In this case, it is third person singular future tense. So it means he, she, or it will see. Next, we begin to parse our nouns, pronouns, and demonstratives. We have the word wir, which is masculine, singular, and nominative, and therefore it functions as the subject of our sentence. Now we're going to parse the remaining words. Both honk and feminam are feminine, singular, and accusative. This means that Haec, our demonstrative, is functioning as an adjective. It matches a noun that is right next to it. Both are feminine, both are singular, both are accusative. So, when we label them, femininum is our direct object, and Haec we will label as an adjective since it's actually functioning as an adjective. When we translate the sentence, we get, the man will see this woman. The man will see this woman. So translating with demonstratives is not really any different than translating other sentences. We will have to begin asking the question, is the demonstrative functioning as a pronoun or as an adjective? Otherwise, we follow all the regular rules for translating. Now let's look at the plural forms. We begin with the nominative forms, he, hi, haec. The genitive forms are horum, horum, horum. The dative forms are his, his, the same all the way across. The accusative forms are hos, hos, haec. And the ablative forms are the same across, his, his. Now, it's very easy to be overwhelmed with all of these forms. They do appear to be a little bit intimidating, especially when you consider the fact that you have to also memorize all of the singular forms. But there is a pattern that's present here that makes it very easy for us to memorize our plural forms. The first thing that we need to do is to mark out our neuter, nominative, and accusative forms. We mark these out because they don't fit the rest of the pattern. In fact, they are somewhat irregular in a sense. But then when we consider the rest of the plural forms, we notice a very simple, clear pattern. We have our first and second declension endings. Second declension for the masculine, first declension for the feminine, and with the exception of our nominative and accusative forms, again, second declension for the neuter. So, you can see that you have the first and second declension plural endings with an H in front everywhere except the neuter, nominative, and accusative forms. When you notice this particular pattern, then you won't have to force yourself to memorize this entire chart. You simply need to remember the rule, put an H in front of the first and second declension endings, and then also remember that the neuter, nominative, and accusative forms are not a part of the pattern, and you simply have to memorize that the neuter, nominative, and accusative forms are haec. So, your job over the next week or so is to memorize the forms of hic, haec, hoc in both the singular and the plural. The plural forms should be easy. You'll go from left to right on both charts. And after you have all of that done, then you can begin to work on translating this particular demonstrative. Hope this video has been helpful, and I'll see you next time.